the entire Eastern Province. Thank you very much to you all for being a partner and for carrying this program live on your various respective platforms. We are also live on the following online platforms. We are live on our Facebook page, that's 5FM Radio Zambia. Like the page, share it, leave us a comment, because we'll be looking forward to hearing what your views are, or indeed if you have any question for our guest for today. And also live on Grindstone TV, and also live on Smart Eagles, and we are live also on Zambia Reports. I'm your host, Zakaria Banda, and my guest today is Honorable Christopher Kangombe. He is the Member of Parliament for Kamfinsa constituency. Always a pleasure to have you on this program. Welcome to The Burning Issue.
Good morning, Zach. Always a pleasure to appear before this platform, and I want to begin by thanking management at this radio station for their continued provision of a platform for those who are elected, those who are participating in the governance space, to come and interact with people, get wisdom from people, but also be able to share perspectives. And I think that this has been one of those platforms that has accorded people from various spectrums. So I'm very grateful to 5FM, but also let me say good morning to the people that are tuned into this program. Looking forward to an interactive session.
Indeed, and first things first, we would like to, I know that, you know, your term is coming to an end very soon.
5 months to go.
It's not good time to really start a project, you know, and finish it. But I know you've got projects that need to be at least finished before your term comes to an end. Just share with us, just bring us up to speed where development in your constituency so far has been, and where we are, and what you are likely to see finished before your term ends.
Well, I'll begin with what we've been able to do at a local level. And you see, at a local level, you can only rely on the resources that are available.
Right.
Okay, so we did recognize that Kamfinsa constituency is a constituency that has got former council houses, the old Ndeke village, Ndeke Changa Changa. That is the old Kamfinsa constituency. But we have the peri-urban section. We've got the part where people do farming. We've got a place where, as you are staying in Kitwe, you want to have a small farm where you can do a bit of maize.
Right.
And that is Kamfinsa farm block. That is where everyone from Husakile constituency, from literally almost all the 5 constituency, apart from Kakolo, that is where they have their farming activities. So we recognized in our constituency that we needed to provide connectivity. Farmers are individuals that work hard. We've got Zambians who are farmers who want to be able to plant on time, and when it's ready to harvest, they're able to pick up their maize. So we decided that our first priority would be to focus on getting connectivity. We did a couple of bridges, not these small foot bridges. We did a bridge in a farm block called Katoka Mema. We did a bridge in a farm block called Misaka B5. We also decided that even within the locality of Mlenga compound, Ndeke village, Ndeke, we should be able to do a couple of bridges so that school-going children, because them they are not in farming, them they want to go to school. So we've done about 6 bridges, I think, in the last 4 years. These are big capital projects. These are not small foot bridges. These are bridges that are able to carry people, are able to carry farm produce, are able to carry vehicles that where people are doing construction. Priority number 1. Priority number 2, we recognize that Kamfinsa has a challenge of water. So we obviously did the noise in Parliament. The job of a member of Parliament is to speak in Parliament. Kulanda, you speak, you raise the issue. It's quite unfortunate that the solution to our water problems, which should have been resolved at capital funding level, has not been attended to at that level. So we've been relying on the Constituency Development Fund to do what I may call industrial boreholes, not these hand pumps. We have what we call commercial or industrial boreholes funded through the Constituency Development Fund, where you go into an unplanned settlement. What is an unplanned settlement? An unplanned settlement, Zach, and for the benefit of those tuned in, is a place like Mlenga compound where people used to allocate plots to themselves. Now you're trying to take services there. we've got Zamtan, we've got Mashula compound. I have about 6 unplanned settlements. So our priority has been, as we are doing water schemes in these unplanned settlements, can we also do a couple of them in Ndeke village where people don't have access to water because the infrastructure is old? Can we go into Changa Changa, Ndeke presidential? So we've really touched on these things that we can do at a local level. But unfortunately, for water, I think that the solution does not lie in CDF. For the scale of the problem we have in Kamfinsa, Ndeke village, in Ndeke, the solution lies in Kana Water and Sewerage being given the millions of dollars they need to replace the pipe network, produce enough water from the treatment plant and take it into our constituency. But of course, we've been able to touch school infrastructure like any other place, an extra 1x3 classroom block. We've been able to touch health facilities. But like I was saying, Zach, the scale of CDF is here. What you want is funding to do projects at another level. And that is why the role of an MP becomes critical. The noise that obviously you may have noticed I've been making in Parliament around water, around the Ndeke Village Mini Hospital, which is not yet complete, CDF can only do 1 extra block. But we want the huge funding to come from Lusaka. And I hope that in the remaining 5 months, for me, development should not be tied to a period. So in the remaining 5 months, my expectation is that government should honor the commitments they made whenever I asked questions on these huge capital projects that are outside the scope of CDF. I think primarily bridges, a few water schemes, health facilities, classroom blocks. I think these we've been able to touch. And also, Kamfinsa has a skills training center, which we believe by early next year we should be ready to open it up. It has also been built because we don't want our young boys and girls going out of the constituency to go and seek for learning opportunities. I think that we were ahead of time. We decided that we are going to build a skills training center in Ndeke village at Masuzio. What is remaining now is to make it operational. I think that summarizes the few things we've been able to do, but I think there are things we still have not been able to attend to.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's talk about CDF itself in terms of government dispersing CDF to constituencies. I think, remind me if I'm wrong, it should have been during a PAC sitting when the Minister of
Public
Finance,
Accounts, yes.
I think the Minister of Finance was obviously asked why certain, if not all, the constituencies
haven't received.
Yes, and I think he threw that question to individual MPs to approach the local government, Ministry of Local Government, because as far as Treasury is concerned, money is released, and maybe local government...
It's just not releasing the money.
What is the status quo? I mean, are you equally affected? Is this true? Or do you get your CDF on time and in full?
Well, first of all, I keep saying this to help people follow the conversation.
Right.
So CDF is not a new fund, okay? 1996, President Chiluba, overwhelmed by the pressure from members of parliament. Everyone says, I have a footbridge that needs to be fixed. I have a roof that has been blown off. Your Excellency, can you help me fix it? So government in 96 decided to create a fund to support the MP to fix small problems. And I want to be very clear, to fix small problems. Meaning, if MP for Kamfinsa goes into the constituency, it's 1996. As opposed to trying to use his pocket money, there must be a public fund which allows him to go to Ndeke Primary School and replace the window panes. So that's how CDF was piloted. It was a pilot fund. Let's see how it works. So over the years, the fund has been adjusted. And obviously, we saw a huge adjustment in 2021.
Right.
The initial year, 2021, going into 2022, the expectation from members of parliament was that if it's Q1 and you're at 25 million, you get a quarter of 25 million, which is around 6 million kwacha. Right. Q2, you get your second 6 million. Q3, you get your third 6 million. Q4, you get your remaining 6 million. Your 25 is done. That was the expectation. So problem number one in 2022, the disbursements were not 6 million in each quarter. It was whenever funds would be made available. So 2022, CDF the full funding was only done as at December 2022, meaning there were constituencies that were receiving funding for a project that has been approved in January in as late as November of 2022. So we went into 2023. We were now implementing 2022 projects, okay? Because that's because the funding only came in December. So you can only implement them the following year.
Right.
So most constituencies have had a lag in projects, not because MPs are frustrating government programs, not because there's been inertia to implement projects. It's simply because we've had cases where there's a lag. A lag is basically some funding that is late by a period. So 2023 CDF was arriving December 2023. Okay? Meaning apart from paying the women for youth empowerment programs, those got their money early. The funding for young boys and girls who have to go to college, those were paid early in the year. There was no problem. But to implement school infrastructure, to build a new bridge, there was a lag which most constituencies have had. So you've asked me an important question. Is Kamfinsa affected by late disbursement of funds, or is it another problem that we have? I think the initial problem was that Kitwe, which has got 5 constituencies, had limited workers. Even if the funding was late, there was an extra problem which had to do with not having enough members of staff to go and prepare a bill of quantities, to advertise the tender and award a contract. That was sorted out in 2022. The problem we're dealing with now, okay, CDF is now at how much? Is it 30 million? Okay, at 30 million kwacha, Kamfinsa hasn't gotten even half of the money, because half should be 15 million.
Yeah.
Out of that 15 million, we've been given money to send young people for skills training. That has already been attended to. We've also received funding to give these groups and clubs of people that want to be supported to do business. Those have received their allocation. But the money that provides visibility in the constituency, the capital funding, unfortunately, we're still behind. We are not even yet at 15 million. Some constituencies are not even yet at 10 million kwacha. So in short, the Ministry of Finance should be honest enough in terms of providing the correct picture. The correct picture is that CDF funding depends on revenue for government. If there's no revenue, if government is not collecting enough from taxes, from the mines, if government has got a few other priorities, they will not be able to disperse money to the local government ministry. And because Honorable Sialubalo doesn't receive his money on time, he will also not be able to send money to all the 156 constituencies. In short, Zach, the reality is that we are in November, the 6th of November. Kamfinsa is not yet even at half of the 30 million that we're supposed to receive. Is it a Kamfinsa problem? No, it's a national problem. A few constituencies maybe may have an extra million on top, maybe others have 16 million slightly above, but it's not correct that 1 month to the end of the year, the 30 million has not been made available. And that affects implementation of government programs. That is the reality, Zach.
So, is there game that has changed in constituencies through CDF, the so-called the game change?
I like
based on the fact that there's been such lapses.
Well, because of the lapses, the level of expectation from our residents, if I go in Ndeke village, for instance, from Lusaka, the announcement is that CDF not pela ama constituencies. Right. As far as government is concerned, we are dispersing CDF. We are actually going to increase it to 40 million. Now there's 40 million, okay? Now, as we go towards 40 million, all constituencies have the money. And when there's a problem to be resolved, and we have a community meeting, out of 30 million, at the moment, to 12 million. The people then, their expectations have to be managed, and this is where the issue of, is it a game changer? Is it any expenditure in the constituency is positive? Right. Whether it's 2 million, whether it's 3 million, there's definitely a problem it's fixing. But for me, I think that the role of government should now be, since we are not doing more capital projects from central government funding. If you remember, Zach, if you're going to Nkeema, there's a hospital which was built by central government under Ministry of Health. I was in Mushindamo for a UNICEF project.
Right.
I found a proper hospital built by central government. So what government has done is that they are no longer doing these projects directly from central government. Shirendala Mesha Aleisa through Ministry of Health directly into Kamfinsa is now coming through CDF. Kuse Shafiolu Pia, Uluale Pelwa by central government. Now central government is saying implement a project at a local level. So it's not like there's a miracle that has happened. It's government saying, can we change the way we take the money into the constituency? And that is where the issue comes in. Why can't the disbursements be done timely so that when government in Lusaka announces that every constituency shall get 40 million, we should be able to have the comfort that nefintu pa ground village tika, so that when someone asks me, Christopher, this facility called Ndeke Village Mini Hospital, why hasn't it been completed? I'll be able to say this is being funded through central government and we're still waiting for central government to make funds available. So for me, in short, Zach, I think that by making these funds available on time, to avoid people thinking that money is going to constituencies and councils and MPs do not just want to implement projects. Chabulanda.
Let's also discuss equity in terms of distribution, because obviously there are certain constituencies that say, I have 5 chiefs in my constituency, and I've been asked that CDF must construct
chiefs' palaces.
You know what I mean?
At 4 million kwacha one.
And in your case, do you have a chief in your constituency?
No, Kamfinsa has no chief. Yeah.
But
it's peri-urban, but we don't have we don't have traditional leadership.
In this case, Kamfinsa, what's a directive around what others have received, those that have chiefs, 1 or 2, to say they must construct a house for the chief? What's the case with Kamfinsa, for example, which doesn't have a chief?
Well, the directive, very quickly, Zach, and for the benefit of those following, the directive for 2022 was that whether you have a chief or you don't have, you have to contribute 1 million kwacha. Okay, so I called the permanent secretary, who I think has now moved to defense, that why is Kamfinsa contributing 1 million? Because our priority is kukamfinsa. There's no issue to do with the chiefs. Our priorities in Kamfinsa are water, are bridges, so why not allow us to use all the money on this particular project? And the feedback from the PS was that, Honorable Kangombe, you come from a village, so you must have a chief on your NRC. And it may sound logical, but you see, the issue is each constituency has a fund. Now, because the cost of construction of one palace, a palace is not 1 million kwacha. If you've seen these palaces, they are quite costly, they are quite expensive, they are not cheap infrastructure. So each constituency, whether you have a chief or not, even in Kana constituency in Kitwe, had to provide 1 million kwacha, which was, I think, provided through central government deduction. Meaning before 25 million taila isa kukamfinsa, wafnyama 1 million to go to a common fund, which fund government now is trying to use to be able to build palaces where chiefs are. You raised the issue of equity. I don't know if it is at this stage that I respond to it.
Please do. So,
very quickly, we have constituencies in Zambia whose level of development is different.
Right.
Kwabenchen de Shimo, where I think that the amount of infrastructure development, the social amenities that are there, the basic infrastructure is limited. We also have constituencies, and I always give an example of urban constituencies. If Ministry of Infrastructure has received funding from India or China, you know the first thing they'll do, they'll look at the capital city. Without even looking at whether there's Kamfinsa, whether there's Chimwemwe constituency, the first priority will be, can we clean up the capital city, which is Lusaka? Now, when you're doing a road in Kabwata, or when you are expanding a road from Great East Road, Vazak, you are going to the airport, these are Lusaka constituencies. Now, is it fair that apart from the benefit of a constituency being in Lusaka, getting these nice pieces of infrastructure, Monam capital city, where a road is done here, Nangwenya Road was expanded. Remember, some 5-6 years ago, Nangwenya was a 2-lane road. It's now 4-lane. All these benefits that were implemented in the capital city. On top of that, you give a constituency such as Malole, okay, in Northern Province, you give them 25 million. You also give Lusaka Central 25 million, okay? Now, from a CDF perspective point of view, I don't think that in some Shishona she correct. Because how are you going to elevate the rural part of Zambia? How are you going to elevate the rural part of most districts in Zambia if they all get a 25 million? And that is why, for me, my proposal, Zach, would be if CDF can't be given according to the level of underdevelopment, because CDF should bridge the gap at a local level. That is the understanding. Even if the 25 million was acted, mafia, the government should put in more money. My proposal would be, is it possible that government can come up with a fund that will equalize development? Okay? Can we call it a rural development fund? Can we say, what are the priorities of rural Zambia? Why are people, for instance, in Mufumbwe complaining that we produce gold, but we are underdeveloped? Why is it that in Solwezi there's always noise? We need our own university, we need our own what, we produce our own copper. Why can't we have a rural development plan? A plan that says, okay, CDF, to avoid arguments, you'll get your 25 million. But can we also have an extra fund which focuses on constituencies that are underdeveloped? Then we'll deal with the issue of equity. Unfortunately, kalaka CDF akatulela ndapo ba Zak, detikapuisha mafia ya the rural part of Zambia that is underdeveloped. I don't think that the equity question will be resolved through CDF. I think that we must agree, all of us, the development planners, the lecturers at UNZA, the economists, all these who are experts, should sit in one room and be able to say, colleagues, what conversation do we have around rural development? We can't use CDF to bridge the gap in development. Amafe ali Kulunga. Have you ever been to Lunga? Sir, Lunga has no roads. Kulunga, Kuluapula constituency, where Honorable Katotowe comes from. That ambulance, Ibaba Pele, Taikwete Mwakupita, because Lunga is a swamp, Mwafulamensh. They need boats there. Will CDF resolve their problem there? Policing crime in Lunga, a van Pitana Munomulusaka can't resolve problems there. So in short, my proposal would be, since the gaps in development are real, okay, why not come up with a rural development fund which is well endowed, which focuses on the rural part of Zambia?
Now you, as an individual, Honorable Christopher Kangombe,
yes,
you have been seen as, especially the last 4 years of your being Member of Parliament,
yeah,
and being in Parliament, you have been seen to be involved in various initiatives and debates,
yeah,
particularly in the mining sector. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Is this an issue of our Kaidinish mine, you know? Is this the issue of you having a background of having grown up on the copper belt,
worked in the mining sector?
In the mining sector? Is this the reason why most of your debates are passionately around the mining sector? Or really this is all about patriotism and just understanding the priorities of the nation?
Well, for me, very quickly, Zach, and I hope that the listeners will pay attention to where I think we need to get it right.
Right.
So, is Christopher Kangombe passionate about mining because he worked in the mining sector, worked in Mopani, worked in Luansha Copper Mines, worked in Atlas Copco, had an opportunity to work around these key sectors? That could be one factor, okay? Because that gives me the understanding, that gives me the exposure, that gives me the level of enlightenment which maybe others may not have had because they didn't have this exposure in that environment.
So you may not be speaking from without.
So that is one factor. Okay, but the other factor is that all this development I just discussed with you,
right,
the demands of our people in Lundazi, the demands of our people in Chikankata, the demands of our people in Mazabuka, Western Province, Kaoma, Nkeema, the people in Mufumbwe, there must be a sector that gives us the money that we need within a short period of time. There must be a source of revenue for government that allows us to take development to Chipili constituency. Okay? So now, what sector can anchor our growth? What sector can allow tourism to thrive? Which sector, Zach, can allow our exports to bring in the right amount of forex? Okay, there must be something. It can't be everything. There must be something that allows us to even diversify. Okay, so is Christopher Kangombe discussing mining because it's a nice topic? No, it's not a nice topic. It is the main topic. It is what all of us Zambians have ignored for many years. We've made an assumption that for 61 years of our independence, given the fact that mining sector has moved from private sector before independence, Kaunda said, let's nationalize our mines. Then we went back to privatization, and we are where we are now today because we have now realized in the old days when we failed to do it right, we didn't have the skills. We didn't have the accountants that could do financial projections. We didn't have the economists that would tell us this is the right model to engage in business. Now we have the skilled people. Now we have people who have been trained adequately. Now, if the conversation has changed, and we have other colleagues of ours on the continent of Africa that, for instance, are saying, wait a minute, why should we have few reserves of gold when we can actually have more reserves of gold and be able to go onto the international market and secure funding for other development needs? That Ghana has done. Our brothers in Ghana, our sisters in Ghana changed the law. In 2023, they changed the law. They decided that anyone who wants to do gold mining in Ghana has to make that gold available to the Ghanaian Gold Board. So there's a company, a government entity called the Ghanaian Gold Board, which now technically mines all the gold. Okay, so the gold goes into Ghanaian Gold Board and it goes into the gold reserves. So is it a bad thing, Zach, for me now to amplify this message in Parliament? Because out of the 156 members of Parliament, there are select committees that deal with some of these economic affairs. Others don't deal with economic affairs. Then there's society, you, the people that are asking government, why aren't you putting more money in healthcare? Why are we sending our patients who have cancer to Tanzania? Why can't we just develop our own cancer disease hospital? It's because we are not getting enough money from our key sectors. So in short, Christopher has amplified the voice on mining because it is our key sector. It is the sector that allows manufacturing to thrive. It is the key sector that allows our economy to earn forex. It is our key sector that allows us to undertake diversification. That, Zach, summarizes why I'm passionate about mining. Yes.
But also, you've made suggestions that the Zambia Gold Company should maintain its role as the sole buyer of gold from artisanal miners.
Yes.
And sell it exclusively to Bank of Zambia.
Exclusively.
To obviously advocate the Zambian interests.
Yes.
Just expand on that, what you would like to see. I know it's the fact that you've put it that, Ghana has Ghanaian
has
gold
done
gold.
it, yeah.
And is this a replica in the Zambia Gold Company? Is this a replica of what you're referring to Ghana?
Oh.
But then what should be done practically if Zamgold buys gold and sells it to Bank of Zambia? Then what do we do at that point?
So Zambia Gold Company was created before the Ghanaian Gold Board. The Ghanaian Gold Board is a 2023 entity. Just a year ago, 2 years ago, that's when the Ghanaians decided to create the Ghanaian Gold Board, okay, or the Gold Board of Ghana. In 2017-2018, the Zambian government were way ahead of most countries. They said, look, why can't we create a company that will be an aggregator? Aggregator, I can simplify it as a company or an entity that buys gold from the small guys. Instead of the small guy someone taking advantage of them. Instead of our colleagues in Mfumbwe, Mwamba Mawea God, then someone comes and gives you a devalued price. There must be an entity that sets the price. They look at the international price for gold, and then they look at the cost of getting that gold out of an artisanal miner, and then they decide that they need to be able to provide that particular market. So an aggregator for me, Zach, is Zambia Gold Company, a company that should be given money through the national budget to buy off all the gold in Zambia. Take the gold into Bank of Zambia. Why are we taking gold into the Bank of Zambia? Every country, Russia, France, even countries that do not have gold, have got gold reserves. Why do you need gold reserves? It allows you to flex your muscles. You can, if you have pressed with money, you want to build an airport, you can simply say, give us $10 million. Look at our credit worthiness. We are a credit worthy country. We have money in gold. In case we default, we'll just give you 6 bars of gold. In short, the purpose of having gold collected into Bank of Zambia is to provide us with the credit worthiness, is to provide us with an opportunity to raise money in the event that we have an emergency. Lastly, Zach, I want to clarify. Someone has asked me, Christopher, are you proposing that we grab the mines? Someone has asked me, you're too strong on mining. Yeah. Your views are too strong.
You've said so, and I know that you have actually urged ZCCMIH to renegotiate the 3.1% royalty transaction, for example,
for Kansanshi mine. Yes.
Minerals, proposing a higher percentage to benefit the country.
Yes.
How high?
So there's large-scale mining and there's small-scale mining.
Right.
So I want to be very clear, and I hope that the listeners are tuned in. Large-scale mining has got 3 phases. You do your mapping, which government is doing.
Right.
Mapping kufaili kishokuliyama minerals. You don't know what minerals are, so you're just mapping. You're just scanning, and that is where Excalibur, the company that has been engaged, comes in. That is mapping, phase 1. Phase 2 is exploration, where you dig. You want to know at what depth is your mineral. Is it worth it? Right. Okay, you know you've done your mapping. Now you want to know, is it copper, is it gold, is it emerald? And at what depth? Is it worth putting money in? So exploration, phase 2. Phase 3, Razak, is what you call mining development, where you open up the mine so that the equipment can go and sit, and then you're able to do your mining. Now, exploration, mapping, development. This takes more than 10 years to do mapping, to do exploration, and to be able to do development, for you then to be able to now do the actual mining activity. So over 10 years. So you need to invest in this 10-year period to be able to get the resource out. And my argument has been, why can't we begin investing in mapping? And I'm happy that the argument in Parliament has changed, because we've been making noise, because we've been talking about these issues, Zach. There's money in mapping. Now we have to discuss exploration. The 2026 budget, Zach, hasn't got enough money. There's no money for exploration that we can say is worth talking about. We've lost an opportunity as Zambia because we are not owning the exploration data. Mining development, this is where the large-scale mines come in. This is where we have partnerships. This is why I've been saying I don't want us to grab Kansanshi mine from FQM. Christopher Kangombe is not proposing that Barrick Gold should be chased. No. Barrick Gold has invested money. My proposal is that why can't we structure a partnership that is genuine? Why can't we partner differently? Why, for instance, Kalumbila mine, how come FQM has 100% shares in Kalumbila mine? The Zambian government in Kalumbila, Bazak, does not even own 1% of Kalumbila mine. Is that correct, Zach? It's not correct. So when Christopher comes on this platform, when Christopher amplifies the message in Parliament, he's saying we don't want to grab these mines which you already invested money in. But for the new mines, for the new investments that are coming, for the mapping we are doing, for the exploration that has to be done, we are not going to settle for anything less than 50% ownership. For a large-scale mine, whoever wants to invest in the Zambian mining sector must be ready to say, Zambia, you are a partner, we are going to do it at equal footing. That, for me, is the position on large-scale mining. Small-scale mining. Small-scale mining, my argument does not change. 100% it should be for Zambians. If there's a new emerald mine we are discovering in Lufanyama, ZAC, it should be for the Zambian government, and the Zambian government should be able to say, who are the local people that can work with the Zambian government to extract the minerals in that particular area in Lufanyama. If you go to Zambezi district, Zambezi West or Zambezi East, you find a special mineral. You go to Mapatizia, you find lithium at a small scale. That should be for the Zambian government working with the local people. Is this a bad thing that I'm proposing? ZAC, it is not a bad thing. Lastly, the 3.1% royalty payment for Kansanshi mine. So the Zambian government owns 20% of Kansanshi. 80% is FQM. Are you aware, ZAC, that the Zambian government, through ZCCMIH, sued FQM to say, by FQM, as you are making your profits in Kansanshi, give us our share of the profit. The profit you are giving us, it's not enough. So the matter was in court for the longest period of time. So when the new government came in, they decided, no, we'll settle this matter outside court. Now, after the matter was settled outside court, what has happened? Instead of the Zambian government getting a dividend, which is a share of the profit, they now give us a royalty payment. There's an agreement that has been agreed that as opposed to the Zambian government waiting for a profit, let's just give them a fixed figure, predictable. Predictable. Now, that has been my argument, that 3.1% royalty payment may actually be a low figure. Why can't we settle for something bigger? Because 3.1% only applies to a new mine. But Kansanshi mine has been in operations for over 20 years. Why can't we get more than 3.1%? And I'll ask the people that are tuned in, is it a bad thing for Christopher Kangombe to ask government to negotiate a higher payment than the 3.1% royalty payment? It's not a bad proposal.
You are also on record of having called for expert-based or backed policies to stimulate economic growth, emphasizing more so on the need to increase support to sectors that offer opportunities for economic diversification and import substitution. Especially the import substitution. What is your proposal? What is your ideology around import substitution?
My position on import substitution, my position on mining, my position on energy, my position on agriculture, the first principle is that I would not celebrate anything that excludes Zambians. I will not celebrate. People have asked me, Christopher, ZDA has announced huge amounts of pledges that have been made by investors into the economy. Yes, FDI is a good thing, but where is space for Zambians? And I'm saying, where is space? Where is ZDA placing opportunities that carry Zambians on board? Because for me, the principle is that you can't have a prosperous country where the citizens are not prosperous. You can't have a country where we are claiming that we are highly industrialized. Yet, if we were to ask how many Zambians are involved in this space, there are few Zambians. Meaning that whatever profits are coming from these key sectors where FDI has been put in Bazak, the money still has to go outside. So my first principle is that if we are going to discuss manufacturing currently in Zambia, speak about companies producing water, speak about companies producing fertilizer. Recently there was a fertilizer plant that was established in, I think should be Chilanga or Kafue, on this side of. It's a good thing that we are going to have fertilizer produced. Now I'm asking myself.
It substitutes it being imported.
It substitutes
importation.
Yes, but then the question is, in that sector, because that's agribusiness.
Yeah, that's right.
What is the role of Zambians? Okay? What is the footprint of Zambians? It's a good thing we have dealt with a problem of fertilizer, but what is the role of Zambians in terms of ownership of the business? And this is why I've argued that even as we discuss alternative sources of energy to prevent load shedding, let us not rush to look for external money. Zach, I want to be very clear. Let us not rush to say, can we go and ask for $20 million in the UK from private companies in the UK to come and set up a solar plant in Zambia? Why can't we first ask Zambians? Why can't ZESCO say, okay, look, as ZESCO, we want to partner with local Zambians. Those that have got the money, here is a model to raise money to finance projects in the energy space. And we are going to do it exclusively for Zambians. Zach, I'll be the proudest Zambian. I'll stand here, I'll sit here where I'm seated, I'll say government has done the right thing. But if the conversation is, so long it's money coming in, so long it will resolve our problems. If we exclude Zambians, Zach, my position as Christopher Kangombe is that there should be no sector which excludes Zambians. If the sectors exclude Zambians, I'm not going to celebrate that level of investment. And that is why from mining, from energy, from any other sector where we need millions of dollars, let's give Zambians the first right of refusal. Let's ask Zambians that, can you try and put in $100 million into a CEC plant that is supposed to generate power, and then CEC will sell electricity to whoever is their client? Why should CEC, okay, announce that they are looking for $200 million and they are calling it a green bond, okay? Now, this green bond, Zach, ideally should have been an opportunity for Zambians to say, mulika 200 million, inene mwina Zambia narapo samoka $10,000. But you know how the green bond was structured? It was an exclusive discussion. Abantu baikala balanda, we need to raise $200 million. Imo malabika 100, instead of opening it up to Zambians. And that is why I'm proposing that. There are huge opportunities, Zach. All the sectors in Zambia are opportunities for growth. But I'll be a sad member of parliament. I'll be a very sad person who looks to one day Zach become president of Zambia, to be sad that all the opportunities are going to foreigners when we can give Zambians what I may call the first right of refusal. First right of refusal mchibe mbakti na lando kutila tuwabalila poabe na Zambia nga bafilwa ero tuwalanda mwebe na Zambia iyi green bond yaba CEC ni mwetu abalile po kuipusha to raise the money. You failed, and we decided to go to the foreign investor. That is my ideology. Very strong ideology.
This is the first edition of The Burning Issue, and our guest today is Honorable Christopher Kangombe. He is Member of Parliament for Kampinsa constituency on the Copper Belt, based on the Copper Belt in Kitwe. And of course, we are live on our partner radio stations, namely we are live on Isunga Radio in Senga Hill, Northern Province. We are live on Katete FM in Katete, Eastern Province. And of course, live on Spice FM in Kabwe, and live also in Kapiri on ZFM. We are also live on Platinum Radio in Ndola and iWave FM in Chingola. Not forgetting Tuta FM in Mansa in Wapura Province, and of course live also in Muchinga, in Chinsali to be precise, but covering Muchinga Province on Muchinga Radio, and also on our Facebook page we're live, that is on 5FM Radio Zambia. Look out for this program live also on Grindstone TV, as well as Smart Eagles and Zambia Reports. I will soon be opening the phone lines for you to call in and interact with our guest on 0955221515. And let's see if we can pick up this call. Good morning. How are you? Great. Elvis, please go ahead and be quick.
I'm doing very fine, by Elvis. Good morning. Yes, sir. I'm humbled. I'm humbled, sir. I'm humbled.
As a mayor as well. Right.
Association of Zambia. Yes, sir. Yeah. 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 Twatotera mukwa.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Elvis.
I'm humbled, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elvis, for your
Chimuleva
contribution.
later.
Indeed. Let's take another one. Good morning. Francis.
I'm doing fine, by Francis, and good morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Francis. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure, Francis. Let me take one more call,
Yeah.
and then I can give you an opportunity to react on 0955 221515. That's the number you're calling us on. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where you're calling us from? Brother Namanda, I believe. Yeah. How are you? We are good. We are good. Thank you very much.
Inendi Febwino, good morning. Greetings from Kamfinsa to you. Emka. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. I was born in 1984. Emka.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mkwai. Emka. Utakuwa ni maximum ni 10 years. Kwali bana 5 years. Emka. Tukabomba. Mm-hmm.
This is an oil refinery, right? Thank you, Brother Manda. Thank you, Brother Manda. Your time is up. Thank you.
So, nalabalila pobana manda.
While you are responding,
Yes.
Just speak to the fact that Ndola has an oil new new oil
that will be set up.
But of course, the terms and conditions have been said to be not clear.
Yeah.
Just speak to that as you respond to the rest.
Okay. So
Right.
I'll start with the last caller.
Okay.
Very important.
Yeah.
So the last caller raises 3 issues. Number one, he says there's a law which prevents government from participating in business. First of all, that law doesn't exist. I want to help the callers so that what they understand. Takwa befunde ku parliament ilyalanda okutila ubuteeko tabufule bwayibimba mu makwebo. There is no law in Zambia. When government sees a business opportunity, it makes business sense. That's how come they run Times of Zambia. That's how there's Daily Mail. That's how come there's Zesco. All these are state enterprises.
Yeah, that's why you have IDC.
That's why you have IDC. So the board chairman, Vanamanda, the board chairman for IDC is His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia. He has appointed a CEO, Engineer Mulea, who oversees these companies. Zafico is a state organization. They are in timber business. So therefore, kita correct abafyasha abachituma obuteko mwili ashirya bukwebo bufule bwayibimbamo, and there are examples not just in Zambia. Go to America, go to Britain. You have who we call state-owned or enterprises, SOE. Our job is to make sure that these state-owned enterprises perform. That is what you and I should be discussing. To say they shouldn't participate, it is not correct. Secondly, Vanamanda gave an example of why should we grab mines from the private sector. I did not state that, and I want to be very clear. My position is that First Quantum should continue operating Kansanshi mine. First Quantum should continue operating Kalumbila mine. First Quantum should look for more mining opportunities in Zambia. Barrick Gold in Solwe, in Lumwana, if they have opportunities in mining they want to explore, they should explore those opportunities, and government should make those opportunities available. However, for the new opportunities, because we are doing mapping, we are mapping the country to know where the new resource is. For the new resource, my position is that we are not going to settle for the 20% shareholding that Zambia has been getting in most mining companies. Zambia has been getting 15% ownership, sometimes even 0%. My position, Banamanda, and you are a Zambian, I'm a Zambian, I want you to change your opinion. Your opinion should change. Your opinion should be that the Zambian government, through ZCCIMH or any other entity we intend to establish, should have a bigger stake in the new opportunities that are coming. It is not possible to go and tell a mine that give us 50% of your shares. Yes, you can engage in a meeting. You can negotiate. They'll tell you the share price for our shares is so much. If you have the money, you can buy shares if they are listed on any stock exchange. So if the current mines abakwete emigodi balanda okutira tatulefa okushitishya kwama shares ali yonse, it becomes impossible for us to get that share. Now that is a lost opportunity. But for the new mines that
will be discovered as a result of the mapping.
As a result of mapping, as a result of exploration.
Right.
Okay. There, Zambia should have a bigger stake. I hope, Panamanda, I'm summoning your patriotism. I know inside your heart there must be an aspect that loves your country. We can't continue not having a bigger stake in new mining opportunities. I hope that that point is very clear. There was a call from Elvis. I think it was just, he was agreeing with me.
That's right.
That we need to be firm on key sectors where Zambians should participate. I think that was his position. Well, Francis from Umpika was emphasizing one of the things I've always believed in. I've been advocating for a concept called ideas for development. The concept of ideas for development, Bazak, is very simple, very clear, something that I think has managed to get the right traction because it's self-explanatory. You belong to the Socialist Party, you belong to PF, you belong to UPND, you belong to People Alliance for Change, you belong to Citizens First, you have a brilliant idea about your country. That is what should guide your politics. The politics, if you are a caller calling into this program, Christopher Kangombe has not wasted your time discussing personalities, because I can do that. I can sit here, Zach, for 1 hour. I start describing this individual, this one has done this one did this one is tall, this one is short. I'm wasting people's time. Christopher Kangombe and the people that have been advocating for ideas for development want us to be discussing key issues. What is good for the agriculture sector? Why can't we produce enough maize for local consumption and enough maize for the export market? What is the tonnage that each farmer should produce? Why should they produce 2 tons of maize when they can produce 4 tons of maize within a space of 1 hectare? That is what should describe our politics. So I think what Francis was emphasizing, that the guys in government today should take time to listen. When people like me are on 5FM, someone should be writing down saying, out of what Christopher Kangombe said, what were the positive things that we can implement that can change the lives of our people? Because as politicians, we are not the first ones. I will retire from the role that I'm performing today. There will be others. What impact did I leave when I had an opportunity to be in that parliament, to come on radio and drive policy? Lastly, Bazak, the issue of the Ndola refinery.
Right.
Okay? I was in parliament last year. I asked the Minister of Energy, when are we recapitalizing Indeni? Because there's already a refinery which simply needs about $200 to $300 million. You recapitalize the refinery, you change obsolete equipment. Obsolete equipment means the technology has changed. You make sure that you remodel the plant and it continues producing the finished product from crude oil. It was my proposal, it was my question in Parliament. 2022, I asked government, why do you want to close Indeni? Why not recapitalize it? If the operations are having challenges, why can't we recapitalize? Government said our position, our policy is that we should bring in the finished product, meaning that tatuwakulaleta manenekela ya mafuta into Indeni to refine. We'll be bringing the finished product from Dar es Salaam into Indeni, and then we allow companies to get the commodity. That is the policy of government. So we said, okay, if that is the policy of government, how come now, 2025, we've been told that a new refinery will be set up in Ndola, and this refinery will be owned by a foreign entity? Again, it's foreign direct investment. But my question then is, why has government not given us the terms and conditions for this refinery? Okay, is it because was it the plan to close Indeni so that we can bring in a foreign entity to set up a refinery? Why not ask the foreign entity to invest in Indeni, modernize Indeni to continue performing the duties of a refinery? If government's position is that no, we have no business in refining crude oil because Indeni can't function correctly, at least the least they can do is tell us what are the terms and conditions. Zach, lastly on the refinery, we only have one pipeline. Pipe feunga umo. Dar es Salaam into Ndola, 1,700 kilometers. That pipe no longer carries crude oil. So my next question to government, which pipe will be bringing crude oil to the new refinery? Because if you're going to have a new refinery in Ndola, you now need to set up another pipeline, Naumbium pipe, specifically for crude oil.
What if we are reverting to?
No, they are not reverting. they would have told me, because this week in Parliament, Nali pusha enchito yaba MP. When we say checks and balances, tekula landa pafintu ifya ma personalities. Checks and balances means you are reminding government to do things correctly. So what government should do is to tell us what are the terms and conditions for the new refinery. What is the shareholding structure in the new refinery? Does the Zambian government own even 1% in the new refinery that has to be set up? Do we own even 2%? Do we even own 3%? Or is it a foreign entity that will own 100%? What is the agreement with the Energy Regulation Board on how the pricing of their commodities will be done? Zach, you can't have a topic as important as a refinery which no one is discussing. That is why I'm bringing this topic, because I want government to simply say, here are the terms and conditions. The refinery will be set up in Ndola next to Indeni, and it will be producing these 3 petroleum products. And the Zambian government does not own any shares, or it owns 2%, or it owns 5%. For me, who is a Zambian, I would want the Zambian government to retain a stake in the new refinery. That is my proposal, and I'm hoping that before they do the groundbreaking, because I'm told that there are plans to do the groundbreaking ceremony I hope that the people that have settled near that area have been compensated. These are the things I'm raising, Zach, for our benefit of our people. There are people who have settled in that area near Indeni. So if we are removing them to allow for this very, very important development, my proposal is that can we settle the people, compensate them, focus on the project, let the Zambian government retain a stake in that refinery. I will not support a project where I think that these are some of the things that I wanted to be tackled around the refinery.
Great. This, once again, is the Thursday edition of The Burning Issue, and our guest is Honorable Christopher Kangombe, Kamfinsa Member of Parliament. And you are welcome to call us and interact with him. If you have any questions or indeed contributions, feel free. The number you're calling us on is 0955 221515. And you can leave us a comment as well on our Facebook page. That's 5FM Radio Zambia. We'll be glad to hear from you. I will also be looking at your comments on Facebook, selectively, of course, because some, I think they are not really talking to what we have so far discussed. But let's take this call for now. Good morning. How are you today? Okay, your name, sir, where are you calling us from? Derek from Charleston.
Derek from Charleston.
Sure, go ahead, Derek. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Derek. And we'll take some more on 0955221515. Those I have on Facebook, I've got James Chula, who says Kangombe is one of the most reasonable politicians. Njekwa equally says, well, beloved young MP and articulating issues very well, unlike the colleague or his colleague will not mention. But we still have some more. I think this one is from Norman. Norman says, good morning. My question to Honorable Kangombe is it true that we have never done our mineral mapping since independence? And should the data be shared with the business world globally after completing the current mapping? Is it wise to engage in interested parties to help do the mapping? I think he's basically looking at it from the fact that we may be taken advantage of.
Well, very quickly, mapping.
All right.
Has Zambia ever done mapping? No, we've done mapping before, except that the technology for mapping has changed. Okay, so when you do your mapping, you are doing, what they are doing now is aerial mapping. You are scanning the country, okay, and they are telling us they've scanned 42% of the country. So when the scans are done, you scan, you have technology to go around over the country. You then have to process that data. So there's a company called Excalibur, which is a South African company. I have my own reservations, okay? My point there was, a year ago, 2 years ago, when we were told they would be doing mapping, was that can we put Zambians as part of the team? When Excalibur is scanning the country, there must be, the guys at School of Mines, UNZA, we have School of Mines in Kitwe at CBU, we should have gotten 2, 3, 4 people to be part of the team so that we transfer the knowledge, the ability, the technical ability, so that when we're doing the scans, Excalibur now has to give that data to another company from Finland. So there are two countries. There's a Finnish company that is doing data validation or data processing. Ukuishiwa bushe, iscan ifilela ngati kuchwe mpala kulipo ama minerals. Ma minerals in Sheriko, can we now do exploration? So I was expecting Zambians to participate in that process. So you have asked me an important question. Have we ever done mapping before? There was mapping that was done, I think, in Shtayabakaunda when the British were doing mining. There was old technology. But of course, technology with time changes, so it becomes necessary for us to do the mapping. Should this information about our minerals be made available to prospective foreign entities? My point would be, before we even talk about foreign entities, why can't we give Zambians the first right of refusal? Though these who are calling, these are Zambians. So these Zambians, if today we ask them, you have like $1,000 or 25,000 kwacha saved at one of the banks. You, the second person, you have like 50,000 saved with NAPSA. You, dear lady, you have 10,000 kwacha saved through government bonds. So why can't we ask these Zambians that here is a platform where you should pull your monies together for you now to invest into one of these new mines that are being discovered? First right of refusal, Bazak, a point fair. And before we talk about mapping data being made available to these who can bring in $300 million, they also go and borrow money. All these investors, and I'm challenging them, any mining company in Zambia, there is no mining company that just takes its money from an account and puts into investment. They go, they use our mapping data, they use our exploration data, and then they go to look for money. They go to London, they go to America, they say, "Ukuku Zambia tufumine kuli migodi shanyu. Give us $300 million, we do the mining development." I'm asking myself, Zach, is it not possible that Zambians can be given the first right of refusal? That's when we bring in our partners. That is my position. And I have no apology to make on this one.
Right. Let's take some more. Did we respond to Derek?
Derek from Charleston was basically emphasizing that he was agreeing that we must reach a stage where topics are defined by things that concern the people. Absolutely. And then we interrogate them, and then we get these conversations to be active conversations in Parliament.
Let's take some more calls. Good morning. Hello? Fine, thank you very much for calling. Please share your name and where you're calling us from. This is Mr. Banda. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead, sir. Yes, please go ahead. And
on any other topic that concerns development here.
It's fine. You can go ahead and make your contribution.
Voter registration.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Banda, for that. I've got Mwamba Blessings on Facebook. He says, I was going to leave this for last. I was going to save this for last, but let me ask it. But you can choose to answer it for last, please. And good morning, wonderful programs. Kindly ask Mr. Christopher Kangombe if he, well, I will ask it, if he were to decide to stand for president in the coming election and won that election, what key issues would he prioritize addressing first?
Okay.
And
first question, so there's Mr. Banda on the voter registration, and then there's, what's the name of that person?
So this is Muma.
Okay, Muma.
Blessings,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Let me take the call. Good morning. Morning to you. Thank you for calling. Yes, you are. Thank you for calling. Where are you calling us from? Okay, your name? Oh, yes, Mr. Emmanuel Mangala. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead, sir. Oh, we lost him.
We needed that caller.
Please call back.
Very
call back.
dedicated caller.
Yeah, absolutely. Please call back, and we'll be glad you did, so that you can make your case as well. 0955-221515 is the number you're calling us on. Let's take the next one. Good morning. Morning. How are you? Thank you for calling. And where are you calling us from? Kapili Mposhi. Your name again? Tembo. Kelvin. Okay. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Greetings from the people of Kamfinsa constituency. Mkwai. Mm-hmm. Chia fue chalo. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for that, Kelvin. Tembo.
Can I quickly respond to these three?
Yes,
they are
yes.
very short responses. Please. I'll start with Kelvin from Kapiri district. Kelvin is basically saying, why can't we have a Zambia where we do not disregard ideas based on the fact that yafumine kuri uyu muntu. He's basically saying, if there's a good proposal on the table, why not consider it? And I want to be on record, Zach, that in the month of September, I was invited to a state in America called Arizona. Okay, when I went to Arizona, it was at the invitation of Zambians living in Arizona. Now, Arizona is in America.
Right.
So the Zambians who are living in Arizona are mostly expatriates. These are engineers. They left Zambia 30 years ago. They are running their 4 mines in Arizona. Okay, these are run by Zambians. They are Zambians who have been employed to ensure that the copper is extracted in Arizona, the province or the state in America where they do mining. Copper belt, northwestern, na kwa America kwa liwenchende itu at Arizona. That's where you do mining. Now, the majority of expatriates there are Zambians, because for the last 30 to 40 years, Zambians have been going there for job opportunities. So they've been following the conversation in parliament. Balakonka Fileland kwa parliament. And they realized that there are these conversations I have been taking to Parliament about mining. And one thing that got them interested is my message that you can't have opportunities in mining that excludes Zambians. Zambians must be involved. So they wanted to understand my perspective. They also wanted to refine my perspective because they've seen how mining is done in Mufialo Mumbi. So I want to agree with Tembo that from Kapiri that sometimes let's not focus on who's talking. Okay? Let's focus on what that person is saying. Because if I focus on Zach, if I have a problem with Zach, I'm going to ignore the gist of his argument. That, I think, is the point from the last caller. There was a first caller who was talking about voter registration, how monitoring of elections should be allowed, how a peaceful election starts with voter registration, election, and disposal of any cases involving arguments on who won and who didn't win. The first caller was basically saying that we need transparency in all these three phases. The day we announced that we want voters to register, let us ensure that if it's 1.2 million new voters, let's show where are these 1.2 million new voters coming from, which district. Let's not just say province, okay, because province is too general. We have 116 districts. Why not state if Copper Belt has got the highest number of voters? Is it Kitwe? Is it Chingola? Is it Lufwanyama? Let the breakdown be done transparently. And I think that is what the caller was emphasizing. And I want to say something, Zach, on the issue of voter registration. I don't think that we have given people enough time, because when you do 3 weeks of voter registration, the first 2 weeks are lost in terms of sensitization. You have 2 weeks trying to let people know in Indeke, Robert Compound, Kapoto Compound, Mutendere, Lusaka West, mulefu abantu beshi byokutila kulyokulembesha ifya kuvota. But before you close the period you've given, be mindful that you have lost 2 weeks in publicity. So I hope that the Electoral Commission of Zambia will allow citizens to have extra days to go and change their voters' cards, be able to register as new voters, and also capture the young boys and girls who will turn 18 by the 13th of August next year. Today they may not be eligible, but they will be eligible by the 13th of August. Those should be captured as eligible voters. The last caller, I think, was Bamuma, who asked me, I think he was asking you, please ask Christopher Kangombe if he gets an opportunity to become president, what would he start first, or what would he fix first? What would be his top priority? I have a biasness towards towards my key sectors as a trained electrical engineer. I think that my first priority will be the sector which has disrupted business. There's one sector which has disrupted business. It has changed the cost of doing business. It has led to people losing opportunities, and that is the energy sector. So in energy, there are only two things. There's electricity and there's petroleum products. My focus would be to resolve our energy crisis, the electricity problem that we have. I will allow people to talk about solar because it sounds nice. It sounds like the easy route to do. But you know, Zach, that solar is not base load power. Now, kubale kutika kumulabasa base load chile pili bulenji. Base load ni fili efi apalati, uluchelo nga ili 100 megawatts, na akasuba ifili yaba 100 megawatts, ne chungulona nga wakasuba na akawa, it should be 100 megawatts. So my first priority would be, I call the experts, the guys in ZESCO, the guys at ERB, the private players, to aikala punch to aipsho kutila. How can we get base load correctly? Okay? And I'll start with the Luapula River. The Luapula River, Zach, has got 5 sites. Feasibility studies have been done on 5 sites. We know where we can generate 1,200 megawatts on the Luapula River. Hydropower, kuliamenshi Luapula tayakama. Luapula yapusana no kukumbi kwa kutila. Amenshina ya chepa, tulelu ila amenshina ba Zimbabwe. Luapula River yali yakanika, it's between Zambia and Congo. So there are 5 sites. Kulubalilwa Congo, there are 2 sites. Kulubalilwa Zambia, there are 3 sites. My challenge to ZESCO, and this is what I would do first if I became president, I would simply ask ZESCO, how much money do you need to develop these 5 sites on the Zambian side and on the Congolese side? Which ones are ours? Ayatatu. How much money do we need? And then we ask the guys in finance to tell us, President, this is the model that we can use to develop. What we've not just done, Zach, is that we've not put in money in these 5 sites. Solution number 1. Solution number 2 in the energy sector, I would go to the mining sector. I would ask First Quantum Minerals, I would ask Vedanta, I would ask IRIH in Mopani to say, Abanenu ba Dangote Cement, they have invested money in a coal-fired power plant. They produce their own electricity. So you FQM, you Mopani, you KCM, you NFCA mine will ask you that half of what ZESCO gives you, since ZESCO can't give you the electricity, half of what ZESCO gives you, can you set up your own plant? You get your coal from Mwamba because Mwamba has got the coal. You get your coal into the mine produces its own electricity, so that il y a 400 megawatts to the Kansanshi mine. 200 megawatts Kansanshi should generate on its own, 200 should be provided by ZESCO because ZESCO needs the business. Then in 200 we leave it in the national grid for these small guys, the barber shops. It's mostly people that want to survive on their own. That would be my first priority, energy sector. Lastly, I would ask, it may sound very complicated, but I may have to ask ZESCO, is it possible that we can actually ask that I'm a residents, because right now we are losing business. You know, ZESCO is losing business. By failing to provide electricity, the opportunity for business is lost. Right. So I'm asking myself, is it possible that ZESCO can provide the solar panels, can provide an inverter into each house, or it can set up mini solar plants specifically for domestic purposes, and then they start levying as opposed to us saying solar. No, they can't afford solar. Is it possible that ZESCO can structure a financial model, can partner with the private sector to say, we are the electricity guys? Is it possible that we can be given funds to take electricity into our people's homes, and then we levy them, and then we recover the money? There must be conversations we should be having, Zach, to resolve the energy crisis. So, Muma, first thing I'll do, I'll resolve the electricity problem. Within a period of 5 years, think about 5 years, Christopher Kangombe, President of the Republic of Zambia, 5 years, it will be the first priority. But I would touch on other things. I would touch on agriculture. I would ensure that to acquire farming for local consumption and farming for export. This has not been done. We just discuss 3.7 million tons of maize. We don't discuss what is the quantum for local consumption. What is the quantum for export? Who is going to farm for local consumption? Who's going to farm for export? Two-pronged strategy.
So who should?
So number 1, the small-scale farmers. Farmers they give us 80% of FRI maize. The 3.7 million, 3 million if small-scale farmers. We must have money ready for FRA to pay off all those, because briefcase businessman so those should be given a good price. FRA buys from them, local consumption. Then we bring in institutions like ZNS. We tell ZNS, set up commercial farm blocks across Zambia. Okay? Go and set up a farm block in Central Province. You are going to produce maize to ensure that as the commercial farmers are producing maize, because there are commercial farmers that are not interested in maize anymore. Wheat. They think that there's more money in wheat. But maize is still demanded in Congo. Maize is still demanded into Tanzania, into Kenya. So someone should farm for that market. So that takuli kutalikana. Ama politics ya mataba ya fuide ya poa. We should simply farm for local consumption and farm for export. This requires a team, experts. And you see, Bazak, Christopher Kangombe is not an expert in agriculture. But there are experts in Zambia. We ask them, can you get these two strategies correctly? They will tell us what we need to do. Zach, I need a lot of time to elaborate all the key sectors that I think we can get right within a very short period of time.
Also, it's not about Zambians when they say, Christopher, we want you to be president.
Yeah.
You must desire.
Yes, definitely.
You desire to be.
Definitely. I've never...
You just don't know when. You know, when do you desire to?
Well, we will have an announcement ready next month, December. I think I've consistently stated that there are some housekeeping issues. There's consultation going on. There's feedback I'm getting on my plans. Presidency, I've seen a lot of people have talked about it. It may sound like it's everyone saying they want to be president. No, first of all, you can't deny people the right to dream. You can't deny people the right to aspire. I mean, if you who's saying, president, if you don't want to aspire, I mean, no one is telling you don't aspire. If there's person B who's saying, if Christopher Kangombe is saying, I can be a good president and here are the merits of my candidature, people should look at the merits of the candidature. Those that are interested, I'm also interested in contesting as president. People should be able to say, okay, does he understand what should be done in the key sectors? Has he demonstrated the ability to work with others? Because a president is the guy, his career must be able to say, under livestock, how come our livestock sector does not contribute enough? The president must be able to bring experts in a room who should then marry his vision or her vision with what the experts are saying. That I'm capable of doing. So my point would be, as Zambians are considering leaders for the future, who is the next president? Because the current president can't be president forever. I'm sure they agree with me. It's not possible. We had Kaunda 27 years, we had Chiluba 10 years, we had Mwanawasa 7 years, Rupia Banda 3 years, Michael Satov 3 years, ECL 7 years, there's Hakainde at the moment. There's definitely a next president. There will be a president who will come. And I'm telling Zambians, here is an option. Here is Christopher Kangombe. His clarity on topics is this. He's not ambiguous. Presidential candidate and presidential aspirant must have clarity on issues, on energy, on mining, on agriculture, on empowerment funds. Zach, I have a position on empowerment funds. My position is that we'll continue wasting public funds if we don't get the empowerment funds correctly. How do we get it correctly? Someone who has been empowered in Kamfinsa constituency should not go to Chilabombe constituency. Na kwena baya mpela 200,000 kwacha. Talaweshe ya kukamfinsa. We need a platform where if Zaka applies for a loan, if Christopher applies for a loan, nganaba mpela loan, uranish naba mpela, first afiri ya wesha, tuapela kona bambia bena Zambia. We must get these things correctly. We should also detach politics from empowerment funds. Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament, should not be the one who's handing over empowerment funds. Empowerment funds should be handled by an independent financial institutions. These are things that Christopher has spoken about, and I'm going to be very consistent up to the point when I decide to contest as president. So, Zach, December is just around the corner. We'll let you know our plans for 2026, whether it's 2026 or whether it's 2031. But definitely I'll be contesting one of these elections as president.
How does it make you feel when you hear conversations? You know, Zambia, when it comes to presidential candidates, people rise and they begin to scrutinize. First of all, they will start writing you off. He has never even been a councillor. He has never even been a mayor. He has never even been an MP. Exactly. How does that make you feel, considering that you've been a councillor before, you've been a mayor before, and you are now a member of parliament?
Yeah.
And when you say you want to be president, while those who've never been are being criticized, how does that make you feel?
Well, first of all, I don't want to start analyzing my possible competitors. Okay, we all have different criteria. Others rely on their knowledge, which they've acquired through experience. Bambala kwata fe capacity to understand my issues. So people have been giving different views. Now, na criteria ulete chawe president takwatenda lama. Okay, now that can't be a criteria. Okay, the criteria for presidency, president of the Republic of Zambia, the criteria should simply be the times are changing. The way problems should be resolved, is also changing. Is this person offering themselves? Are they open-minded? Do they have the level of exposure? Okay. Do they understand how public sector should deliver services, how private sector should deliver services? Do they understand how to raise money, how to finance public services? Do they understand how the tax regime should be put correctly for businesses to thrive, for jobs to be created, and to be able to perform the duties of a president? So you then encompass all these things. Does this person have what it takes to drive things? Okay? So I'm asking myself, the voter has their criteria. You, the candidate, you are also trying to impose a criteria. No. The criteria is the voter. The voter should be given options. Did you muntu ale am kuvota bazak? Afuya ingila muli amu boothi. Amo na ave minine. Okay? Elo ayipushat. Na aliumfapo Christopher Kangombe alelanda pali mining. Okay? Bushe efyo alanda fituntulu na ngute fituntulu. Did you muntu ale am kuvota afuya ayipushat? Oh, Christopher Kangombe pali empowerment. Does he agree that we should allow politicians, by DC, by mayor, by MP, by minister to be the ones handling empowerment funds? How? Christopher has a position on this. On health financing, Christopher Kangombe has consistently said we need to ensure that Section 16 of the NIMA law, there's a law in Zambia called the National Health Insurance, which deals with the NIMA. Section 16 Bazak says the poor and the vulnerable should be looked after by those of us. That money should cover for the person contributing and the poor and the vulnerable. What is the position of Christopher on NIMA? Is it a good position? Is it a bad position? Bazak, that is what I would want Zambians to consider when all of us offer ourselves for leadership. It's not about billboard Zambia yonse ewala bakateka. No. You should be able to assess each one of us and then be able to say, okay, for 2026, our candidate is this one. For 2031, it's this person. So, Zach, next year, as we go into the election, the voter has their own criteria. They are looking at who can resolve our challenges, who can assemble the right team, because one person cannot resolve people's problems. It has to be a collection of people, governance issues, the constitution of Zambia. Who will ensure that the constitution of Zambia does not give too many powers to the politicians? Because criteria, the constitution. Zambia. The Public Order Act should not be used to weaponize the police to deal with citizens. It should be used to ensure that we have law and order, but the rights of our citizens are allowed. The cyber laws, cyber crimes. In Parliament, I've debated, I'm on record, I have my own views. Those views will be consistent so that when people start decide to vote for who should be president, I should be able to say, colleagues, my views on the cyber laws, I'm on record. That's why when I'm in Parliament, you've been consistent and they think that you can make a good president.
Your concluding remarks, Advocate.
My concluding remarks, once again, I want to thank 5FM. I want to thank all the media platforms that you have partnered with to allow me to share my thoughts on mining, share my thoughts on agriculture, share my thoughts on health insurance, how we can remove political players from empowerment funds. I think that these are conversations that should define our politics. I'm not here to discuss individuals. I've not misused this opportunity you've given me. I want to thank the people that have tuned in. Lesale Mipala, may God bless the people of Zambia.
Thank you very much. And that's Honorable Christopher Kangombe Kamfisa, member of Parliament.